President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, offered this Saturday his annual message before the parliament, where he presented a balance of his management of the government during the year 2021. Former Haitian senator and suspect in the magnicide of Jovenel Moise, Jean-Joel Joseph, was captured in Jamaica. This Sunday, January 16th, marks the 6th anniversary of the illegal detention of the Argentine political, social, and indigenous leader Milagro Sala. Hi, this is from the South. I am your news anchor, Diego Martin, from the Telesur Studios in Havana. We begin with the news. President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, offered this Saturday his annual message before the National Assembly, highlighting that both the public powers and the Venezuelan people have grown during the year 2021. Maduro announced that after 5 years of economic war, Venezuela recovered the economic path. The head of state said that in the third quarter of 2021, the economy achieved a growth of 7.6%, and the experts forecast a positive development of more than 4% increase for 2022. He also emphasized that there was an increase in the consumption index by families by 4.9%, as well as 8.7% by the government consumption, and also the circulating capital increased to 3.1% of investment, a clear sign of economic growth. He also praised national achievements in matters of health, communication, education, and culture. Another interesting topic addressed by the Venezuelan president was the pandemic and the efforts they had to do to obtain the vaccines, and thanked fraternal nations in the world for their cooperation and caring support to bring the vaccines to Venezuela.
We started with a lot of effort to obtain the vaccines. I would like to thank to our brothers in the world, with whose cooperation and solidarity support would have been impossible to bring the vaccines and vaccinate the Venezuelan people. Today, we have reached 95% of adult population vaccinated. 95%. Thanks to China, to Russia, to Cuba, thanks to our brothers and sisters of the world, Venezuela got its vaccines. And we started vaccination of kids older than 2 years old. The vaccination has been intensified in the last days. Ministry of the Popular Power for Education. Go and trust and get your children vaccinated against COVID-19 to kids over 2 years old. Go in confidence, because that will be for their own good. Besides, it is to maintain face-to-face lessons, which is another achievement of 2021. Finally, we could go back to class, to face-to-face classes.
The president also referred to the need to restore the social well-being state, where they have the deepest wounds and the strongest resistance of the country, as well as the expenses of the state in social matters.
Of the fight we had in 2021 is related to the social. To regain the status of social well-being. That's where we have our deepest wounds. And where we have the most intense resistance on our part, with the community councils, with the clubs, with the UBHs, with social forces, assisting those who suffer, those who need it. Last year, we dedicated in the budget 76% of the budget of expenses and investment in social matters, social issues.
A solidarity shipment with 7 tons of powdered milk arrived in Cuba this Saturday, organized in a joint effort of the groups Bridges of Love, Code Pink, and the People's Forum from the United States. Representatives of the organizations that accompanied the air cargo stated that the shipment responds to the need to support the country in the face of the U.S. blockade and its intensification in the midst of the COVID-19. The powdered milk will be sent to pediatric hospitals in Havana as a token of love for the children of Cuba. Following the announcement of the shipment in the days prior to its arrival, the Bridges of Love project said in a statement that the funds raised for the milk and the charter flight came from an overflow of individual donations from people all over the United States.
Work of many people. In addition to the donations, as you just said, the work of packing it and sending it here, renting the plane, all that is the work of many people.
Chile's coasts were hit during the afternoon and evening of Saturday by an extraordinary swell after the eruption of an underwater volcano near the island of Tonga. In the northern part of the country, the coast received a tsunami with waves of almost 2 meters high and slight flooding that was registered in the cities of Iquique and Atacama. During the day, coastal evacuations were ordered in 14 of the 16 regions of Chile, and a red alert was declared in 6 specific zones, where a safety level of 30 meters above sea level was established. However, as the hours passed, all the regions lowered the alerts to precautionary status so that the population can return to their homes but not to the beaches. Two people died in Peru due to abnormal waves caused by volcanic eruption in Tonga, reported the National Police on Sunday morning. According to the National Police of Peru, 2 people were found dead on the beach of Nailap near the northern city of Lambayeque. Regional media assured that the victims were 46 and 23 years old, respectively, when they were hit by waves of more than 2 meters, which caused the sea to go out when a vehicle was driving along the beach. The Peruvian Navy concluded that the eruption in Nuku'alofa, Tonga, does not cause a tsunami warning on the coast of Peru, but confirmed that unusual behavior has occurred in some coastal areas and has intensified with the presence of abnormal waves, combining the rising tide or high tide phase. We'll be right back after this very short break. Don't go away. Now, welcome back to From the South. Over 6 months later, the truth about the assassination of the Haitian president, Jovenel Moise, has yet to be known. More than 40 people have been arrested, and the most recent capture occurred this very weekend in Jamaica after human rights organizations announced that the judicial investigation in Haiti to find all those responsible for the assassination is blocked. We have more on the matter in the following story.
Joseph John Joel,
a former Haitian senator suspected of being a key player in the assassination of the Haitian president, was arrested this weekend in Jamaica, where he is presumed to have arrived since December, a fugitive from justice.
Jovenel Moise, pouvoir illégal, illégitime Jovenel Moise.
John Joel Joseph, a well-known opponent of Jovenel Moise, is accused by the Haitian police of providing weapons and planning meetings like this one in Florida, where the plot was organized.
Antonio Palacios.
Last October, also in Jamaica, another key link was captured. Former Colombian military officer Mario Antonio Palacios, who was deported to his country after a stopover in Panama. A coordinated action between Colombia and the United States led him to Florida, where he is now accused of conspiring to kill the president of Haiti. The rest of the mercenaries have pointed to Elias Floro as one of those who knew that the real plan was to assassinate Jovenel Moise.
Jean Rodolphe alias Dodolphe.
Also apprehended last week in the Dominican Republic was the Haitian businessman, convicted drug trafficker, and DEA informant Rodolphe Jar, who in an interview with the New York Times acknowledged his contribution of around $130,000 to provide weapons and lodging to more than 20 Colombian mercenaries. He also alleged that he joined the plot because the conspirators claimed to have the full support of the United States. But according to the Times, there is no evidence of an active connection with the U.S. government. However, in Haiti, the investigation did not look into the financial connections of at least 2 Haitian banking institutions that received high amounts from the country, of at least 6 citizens of residents implicated in the assassination. At the time, the FBI raided the house, but no new details have been known about the Ecuadorian-born U.S. citizen Walter Ventimilla, a mortgage and insurance broker who acknowledged that his global capital lending group participated in the financing of a change of government for Haiti, but was not part of the assassination. The FBI has also not commented on the legal status of 2 managers of CTU Security, registered in Miami as the Federal Academy Counterterrorism Unit. Antonio Intriago, an immigrant of Venezuelan origin, and Arcángel Pretelt, a former member of the Colombian Army, native of Cali and resident in Florida, are accused by the Haitian police of participating in the plot of the crime. According to the Haitian National Network of Human Rights, the investigations to find all those responsible have yet to clarify the links between the current Prime Minister Ariel Henry and former official of the Ministry of Justice, who is said to be responsible for coordinating the assassination in real time.
Badio Joseph Félix.
Joseph Barrio, still a fugitive, spoke before and after the crime at least 12 times with the current president of Haiti, according to telephone records revealed in September 2021 by the prosecutor Bedford Claude, dismissed after requesting that the Prime Minister explain this relationship before the court. Some sources assured that 4 months after the assassination, the fugitive visited the official residence of the Prime Minister 2 nights, without major obstacles from the security guards.
Violence in Colombia claimed a new victim. A 14-year-old indigenous guard boy was killed by armed groups in Cauca. Brenier David was killed on January 14th when he went to ask for help because of the presence of armed groups near the community. In addition, indigenous guard Guillermo Chicame was killed and Officer Luis Fabián Camayo Guetio of the Nasa community of Las Delicias was seriously injured. According to the Association of Indigenous Councils of Northern Cauca, the armed group responsible for the murders was the self-proclaimed Coordinating Command of the West. Former Colombian Senator Piedad Córdoba offered a public message after being victim of a political media smear operation that links her to alleged corruption. The human rights activist announced that the attack seeks to discredit the historic PACT coalition in view of the upcoming presidential elections.
The worsening of the social conflict in Colombia caused by profound inequality is generating an outburst of discontent in various sectors that have historically been discriminated against. This context has strengthened the center-left forces that interpret this reality and promote a change of course. In view of the imminence of a social turn that would imply the beginning of the transformation in Colombia, sectors of the ultra-right in Latin America that represent the privileges of transnational capital began a campaign to delegitimize the opposition, converted into a real alternative of power. In that framework, the unfounded accusations against my political trajectory and my family environment should be interpreted.
As Beijing prepares to host the 2022 Olympic Games that will start on February 4th, Mexico is looking forward to an event that may inspire future generations of athletes. The North American country has never won a medal at the Winter Games, and for the Mexican Olympic Committee Vice President Daniel Aceves, it would be a source of pride and prestige. As a country not typically associated with winter sports, Mexico will nevertheless send 4 athletes to Beijing 2022. The delegation is made up of 1 cross-country skier, 2 alpine skiers, and the best figure skater the country has made in a generation. 22-year-old Donovan Carrillo is a figure skater who will represent his country at the Winter Olympics and will carry the flag from Mexico at the opening ceremony.
Being the first Mexican to qualify for the Beijing Olympics makes me very proud. These Olympic Games in Beijing 2022 have been a beacon of hope. It relieves a lot of the uncertainty we have lived through during the pandemic.
Mexico has observed the efforts of China's Olympic organization as part of society's response to the pandemic. We know these games will be seen around the world and send a message of resilience and unity.
Now we focus on the situation in Guatemala-Honduras border at crossing point as reports come in about heavy deployment of riot police to stop a migrant caravan heading to the U.S. According to Telstar correspondent Santiago Boton, the government of Guatemala has deployed a strong operation of public forces at the Motagua Bridge in the locality of Puerto Barrios, Izabal region to demand mandatory documentation to Honduras, while the caravan that departed yesterday has disintegrated in different smaller border crossing groups. On Saturday night, riot forces repressed a group of about 600 asylum seekers by throwing tear gas canisters and rubber bullets against them, under the pretext of a stone-throwing attack that not occurred. Migrant caravans are a common phenomenon in the regions as people flee poverty and violence in their birthplaces, mainly Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. In 2021, the Guatemalan government stopped a migrant caravan around the same time of the year. We have more stories coming up after this final short break. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back. This Sunday, January 16th, marks the 6th anniversary of the illegal detention of the Argentine political, social, and indigenous leader Milagro Sala. Sala was the leader of the Tupac Amaru Neighborhood Association, part of the Association of State Workers of Jujuy locality, and a leading figure in the Movimiento Piquetero of Argentina. On January 16, 2016, Sala was arrested for charges of fraud and criminal conspiracy in an alleged embezzlement case. The accusations and her arrest under former President Mauricio Macri's term faced a rejection of several human rights organizations that stressed it was a way to criminalize the right to protest, as well as a smear and lawfare campaign against social leadership and indigenous communities. The Argentine social leader Milagro Sala denounced that Jujuy was used as a scenario for silencing social leaders as her comrades are still in prison for the same causes, being social advocates.
Jujuy had been prepared to be a laboratory, and of course, that laboratory later began in Buenos Aires with Cristina, with Carlos Zanini, with Elias, with many of our comrades, some of whom today are in prison, and others were not able to recover their freedom.
Sala recalled that the authorities of Jujuy continue to attack the leadership of the country.
They continue to execute us. They continue to take us to court. They continue to bring us to trial. They continue to file cases against us. And we have said many times that we have to dismantle this because the U.S. Embassy is settled in Jujuy, and when they want to attack the democratic government, they are going to move forward with it. They are going to move forward. And unfortunately, I insist again, this laboratory is still alive, is still working.
The social leader Milagro Sala referred to the consequences of the political persecution that has taken place in Jujuy, highlighting the loss of jobs and the closing of factories.
What are the consequences of the fact that nearly 5,000 of our colleagues were left without work? Which are the consequences of what? Unfortunately, in Jujuy, it was possible to build housing for those who have the least. Today, they can no longer have access to those who at least have housing, decent housing. Then there was a production in which we had 5 factories, and in those factories they produced overalls, clothes, they made curbs, gutters, pipes to pipe under the ground. They made blocks, bricks, chairs, tables, textile factory, metallurgical factory, and today those factories are closed.
Milagro Sala also expressed her opinion on the possible presidential candidacy of the current governor of Jujuy, Gerardo Morales.
Look at what I saw in this video. Start searching on Facebook, on Twitter, on all the social networks. Now Morales became the governor of Jujuy. He did the same thing he is doing now in Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires, he uses the provincial airplane, which costs the people of Jujuy a lot of money. Despite the fact that the people of Jujuy are starving, that they have no work. With this, that we have to dialogue, we have to democratize, we have to let justice work on its own. When here in Jujuy, he is the one who has expanded the Supreme Court of Justice. He is the one who manages the judges, the prosecutors, and those who do not do what he says suffer the consequences of impeachment.
We've come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at Telstar English. You can also follow us on social media for all the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Telstar English, I'm Dio Martin. Thanks for watching.